We missed 10, 15 minutes of already. Um, what I'll do is I was speaking to one of the guys over the weekend. I'll not name him because I don't know if he wants it to be public or not, but just struggling a little bit. So I just sort of like jumped on with him just to try and explain what I'm looking for, what I'm doing. So what I'll do is obviously it's all the same stuff that I cover week in, week out anyway, but I was just sort of explaining that when we get a build up of liquidity, so whether it's there, any of these line, obviously, and here, when liquidity is taken, so here, I'll use this as an example. We often, when liquidity gets swept, so obviously this takes this liquidity. I'll explain roughly what liquidity is in case who's on it at the minute. In case a couple of lads don't actually know the idea behind it. So I'll do that first, actually. So there'll be a touch in here on the that you can't see on the 4, but it'll be on like the 2 or the 1 hour. Let's have a look. Be the 15. Show you. Bear with me a second. So a slightly extended wick there on the hour. It's probably better on the 15 still, but we've got a wick that's away from the body next to it. Yeah, standalone wick there. So, and then obviously we've got and then we've got an extra couple of touches further down. So we've got 1, 2, 3 good touches, all clean and pretty much bang on the line, which I like. So the idea with liquidity is obviously it's where stop losses are expected to be on the other side of the price. So obviously there's 3 touches in this. So I'm just going to extend this slightly so you can show you an example. So when price touches this for the third time, pushes away, people will look to jump in for sells at that point, thinking that this is a strong resistance line, obviously because it's bounced off it multiple times, and then obviously the market tricks them into thinking that it's going to give them fourth touch. But what it does is people think they've got an extra chance to get in on the sell. So when it comes up to here, people would automatically think that there's going to be a sell on that fourth touch. And obviously there will be already other people's sells from these sort of areas, like these touches as well. So obviously I don't know exactly where they put the stop loss is, but it would be expected that it's just the other side of the line. So something like that. So, and what it does, obviously the banks come in, manipulate, take everybody's money because there's money. See if I can draw the logo. What I want. Maybe the dollar sign. Anyway, there's money on every one of these touches. Obviously, more sells. Maybe not a sell at this point, but all this sort of wicks up here, and especially this last touch, and then this one here. Lots of people put in sell orders on this, and then obviously banks come in, take everybody's money, and then obviously price goes and does its thing, starts selling off the right way. So this is why we call this liquidity. It's just a lot of people's stop losses where it's likely to be. So at the point that liquidity is taken, we've got 2 options. So we've got obviously it sweeps it, and then obviously this one reverses because price is going upwards, takes liquidity, and then obviously presents a sell. So for me, under this wick, possibly this wick low here, draw an arrow to it. It might not be exactly, but somewhere nearby. That wick there is likely the 1 minute breaker structure I'm looking for. And then obviously it breaks it a few hours later. So obviously push, takes liquidity, break to the downside, and then comes back and mitigates something in there and sells off. So that's the sweep reversal. So That's reverse. Obviously, prices up, reverses, and then sells off, does its major thing, and looks to target possibly the opposite order. So it might be looking to mitigate something in here now. The other option is something along the lines of this one here. So might not be the cleanest option. I've not looked at this up until I see it about half hour ago. So obviously build up liquidity. If I extend that, I'm just going to extend it over here. Again, 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch, 4 touch. People will be thinking, obviously there'll be lots of buys at this point on these last 3 touches at least. Obviously this last one, again, obviously this is your average trader. They'll be putting buys on that touch. That's what's there. And then obviously it comes back and it touches for a fifth time, sorry. Obviously they think that they're going to get another chance at it. And what does the market do? Obviously it takes everybody's money. I'm just going to draw this order on all these touches just for obviously third touch confirms an angled trend line for me. So 1, 2, 3, there's 4 there. Fifth one takes everybody out, but there will still be more buy orders from people thinking that this line is a super strong support on this side. I think it would be. I don't know the terminology, but just know for me, I know that once this is created at the third touch, it's highly likely that price is going to pass through it. And then once it does, we've just gone over the reversal to the right. Now we are looking at what's possibly a continuation. So maybe, like I said, this might not be the cleanest. I'll find a better one if it's not. But price, just actually, I'll do that. Just change the time frames. It might look a bit better. So just drop a couple of times. Yeah, it's a lot clearer. So obviously, I always mark my zones from like usually the wick high to the start of the imbalance. So wick high up here, maybe I don't want to confuse it, but we can clearly see that obviously this candle's where the major imbalance starts. So I would say maybe from the bottom of this wick or the candle is where I would be sticking my zone if I had it marked, something like that. And then obviously, as you can see, price comes back, mitigates something in this, because this is the area that caused the trend line to be taken. So obviously, it maybe takes a low to the left as well. Yeah, breaks a low, so it breaks structure. Comes back, mitigates. This will fill an imbalance or something in here that causes something. I'll draw another little box. So what I suspect is this tap in here. There's maybe an order that comes in from the banks that we can't see on the 2 hour. It'll be on maybe the 10-second or whatever. Comes back and fills the order that causes the trend line to be taken. And then it comes back, mitigates, very much likely causes a break of structure. So this is the low. This is maybe the low here. I'll just draw this one again. This will be like possibly 1 minute. I'm not going to drop because I don't want to have to scroll far back. But this candle wick low here is probably the 1 minute low that causes the first mitigation. And then as you see, we break it here. So break the structure at that point. Yeah, Wicks just passes through it. So I'll zoom in so you can see it. Breaks through it. And then obviously price comes and fills something in this first mitigation. So jump on the 1 minute and actually take a look. I'm not going to jump down to the seconds because it's not what I sort of wanted to cover tonight. I just wanted to, not that I had any plans of what I was going to talk about. Um, yeah, it looks pretty cleanish on the 5. So as you can see from down here, price is coming upwards. It's made a low, high, low, just about a new high, maybe. Maybe you'd say up here it's not the cleanest, but it pulls back, creates a new high, then obviously it fills something in there that it wants. Obviously, a little big push from here. So somewhere in this zone is where the order from the banks of that creates this major imbalance. So that's a good sign that it's big money players. But obviously back to this, creates a low, high, higher low, higher high, then it takes a low out. So 1 minute breaker structure here. And then obviously, as you can see, it comes back and mitigates what looks to be something in this area here, which would effectively become my entry should I have been waiting for this to play out. Again, obviously there'll be something in here on the seconds chart that it probably fills. Take a quick look, but I don't want to be too involved in that tonight. So not clean on the 10 second. I don't know what it actually taps into, but obviously it's tapped into whatever that is. The start of the imbalance maybe. Might be see on 15 or 5 better. No. Yeah, not clean to view on the seconds chart, but it's not always the case that it is clean as I'd want it to be. So, but on the 5 minute anyway, like I say, you can see that the selling pressure starts somewhere from here to the high. Obviously, it's middle of this section, but it really hits here. So if you don't jump that low, then chances are your entry would have been something like that. And obviously, this black line is the high that taps in what would be my entry after this break of structure. Just going to drop back to the higher time frame so we can. So yeah, obviously this whole move here. Obviously, ignore these. These are just obviously what I would class as liquidity. A lot of orders that get swept eventually get swept. Obviously, a lot of people do trade before the sweep, and obviously eventually they will be liquidated. So we're always waiting for the liquidity to be taken. This is what we mean. So price smashes through everybody's stop losses at this point. Always wait for that, and then we wait for confirmations basically as to whether it's going to continue or reverse. So whenever liquidity is taken, I'm always still looking for buys and sells. It's just what presents itself at that moment and what comes in front of us. So we might have even caught both orders of this one. So there might have been a buy. Might have been a buy somewhere in there. Might have broke above here in mitigation. But obviously the overall move would have been the sell, trying to catch the sell. And then eventually the price also comes higher further along for the reversal in there. Yeah, takes the very last bit of imbalance, no doubt. In the higher up, this is the same zone. So that one's to the left is continuation sell. This one here is reversal. Both based around obviously this a trend line being taken. Trend line. Obviously they're opposite directions, but if it was the opposite way, it would more than likely be a continuation. But does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. To you, Dan? Guessing that's no, it's gone. Um, yeah. So yeah, that's obviously trend line being taken. I'm looking for a continuation or a reversal still. So all these lines here and blue boxes are obviously that. So obviously trend line here, this point of interest, this order block here is what causes this trend line to be taken. Sweeps everybody's money, comes back, obviously starts breaking candles to the downside, mitigates an entry. What's here? Same thing here. Trend line gets swept, price comes back, mitigates the area that causes the break, and then sells off. Continuation. And obviously it's possibly doing the same as we obviously the markets are closed right now, but the trend line, something in this area possibly caused that liquidity to be taken. We've created a little bit of liquidity there for it to be taken as well. But we might see, obviously, I think me and Daniel was looking at possible buys from here anyway. We might well see this week, early on this week, something like that. That might be a trend line. I'm not too happy with that middle touch, but and obviously the reason why I've drawn this sort of shape is because obviously we're on the 2 hour at the minute, but we might get a push up, a pullback, push up. I've drawn it like this because this will then show what I want my breaker structure to be. So I would then want my 1 minute breaker. I'm basically drawing how I want structure to slightly look. It might just be obviously if we're on the 2 hour or the 4 hour, it might just be a one single candle as a pullback, but on the 1 minute that will be multiple candles. So ideally, I just want to see obviously when it mitigates something in here, just I want it to take a 4 hour candle low or a 15-minute structure low, as long as it starts breaking lows. Obviously, the lows will be appear further away on the lower time frame. Obviously, on the 4 hour, it might just be like I say a single candle, but that's why I draw it like this. So you can see that I'm wanting to see breaker structure. If obviously if we do catch the breaker structure, there will be an order block. So if we use this as an example here, if price comes up and does this, obviously pulls back, creates the high, these two highs are the same spot. I'd want to see price leave something like this. So like create the high and then leave an imbalance at the high. Then obviously this area would be up here. I hope it's really confusing everybody, but obviously there'd be an imbalance below. So I'll draw an imbalance there. So obviously this is the imbalance here. I would want to see imbalance just below an order block up here somewhere. So I'd want the imbalance to be filled, and then my entry would become the order block just above the imbalance. So imbalance order block just above it. I'd want to see that here. After obviously, I'd want it to break structure, and then that would become my entry. So this is a possibility this coming week. Um, Yeah, that's I've got my eyes on that anyway. So obviously it might come well deeper into the zone, but yeah, it's about all I've got marked up for this week at the minute. So I'll spend a bit of time after this marking more liquidity areas. Um, Obviously I'll look through multiple charts. Just pick one at random, Euro NZD, see what's going on with this. So looks like a sell might have happened missing the week. 3 nice touches again. So touch, touch, touch. Price sweeps it, takes everybody's money, starts breaking, possibly under these candles here. So structure wise, we have a push up, slight pullback. We get a couple of red candles, takes everybody's money, break a structure under here. Obviously, it comes this far down, mitigates something in it, probably an imbalance in there, and then sells off. Obviously, yes, as I drew before, obviously, when I said there's a pullback, this is obviously on the 2 hour. So low, high, higher, low, higher, high, break of structure across here. Does it? Does it high yet? Does it there? The low might have been here. Actually, think looking at that, I'd have to look on the lowers, but there takes the high, breaks it to the downside. Do that one. That one there. That one to be safe. Um, Low takes everybody's money. Break a structure here. Comes back, mitigates something in here, obviously, and obviously the after the breaker structure, which would be still there actually. Breaker structure, then obviously because we get the breaker structure as a final confirmation, the mitigation in here is the mitigation of an important or highest imbalance becomes after it's filled, that point of where the imbalance is filled becomes the entry. So likely something there on the 5 minutes, something like that, or maybe lower. Look. Obviously, you can jump in with any questions, guys. I'm just rambling on, I know. So yeah, that's the actual flow. So as you can see, that's the actual structure. Low, high, high, low, higher, high, break the structure here with this move here. Obviously, if I was trading this live and obviously it had done its thing up here, it tapped something I was happy with, I would set an alert just below this wick low here. So the alert would have gone off at this candle here. Obviously, we don't want to be sat watching charts all day, so make good use of alerts. Obviously, a lot of us get into trading to try and free up time, and eventually, I know obviously in the beginning you give more while you're at work, but So breaker structure there, and then obviously, like I say, it comes back and mitigates something in this price here. Just take a closer look. So if there's anything we can see. I'm assuming this was news, to be fair. Let's push up. But as I was just saying a minute ago, so we've got imbalance there, imbalance. So my yellow boxes are imbalance. So there's none above that. This is all balanced. Imbalance there. Possible bit of imbalance there. This candle here. And then we've got a little bit here. So as I said, I don't know which. So obviously this one here is directly the cause of the breaker structure. So my entry would be something like that. Green box. So I'll turn it red for the purpose of the live, so you can see. Yeah, lowest in obviously it's the lowest of the three important imbalances are marked. This is directly responsible for the breaker structure. It might come up for some here at a later date, I don't know, but it depends what it does after that, like after price has gone, and if this is the cause of more trend lines being taken to downside, then yes, I believe it will come back to something higher up. But just for the purpose of this, obviously, just marking up the actual entry zones, I would be saying one of these three red boxes would have been the entry I would have picked. Like I say, because there's an imbalance, 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 and the entry becomes at the point in which it is filled. So this one would have just tapped in. Obviously, the black line is the price that comes and taps an entry, fills an imbalance, fills this one perfectly, taps into this one. We would have been looking at roughly a 5 pip stop loss to allow for a bit of spreads. 15-minute time frame. Obviously, we'd look for targets as well. So targets would be as well, which targets are major important. So we've got possible trend line there. So obviously, as I mentioned earlier, trend lines are almost guaranteed to be taken at some point. So if we were trying to sell from here, we would be relatively comfortable in thinking that price will just at least just pass by. Obviously, if it's overall, so I'm just going to mute my Discord because pinging him here. Obviously, if its overall idea is to go higher, then well, that didn't work. Still pinging. That goes. Yeah, obviously, if its overall idea was it wanted to continue bullish, then we would expect it to only just wick past. If it's turned bullish, obviously, a bit. If it's turned bearish, then obviously we would look for further targets for it to target. So we would look for more liquidity areas that it might want to aim for. Obviously, it might come all the way down for these. Or it might come for something like, say, obviously this area here is a sweep. So we've got a trend line here, sweep, and we might be coming to mitigate something in there. I don't see too much, but because I'm not obviously mega keen on this area for a mitigation because I don't see any imbalance. So I'm always looking for something to be filled. Um, but obviously the imbalance might be on a lower time frame that we see, but I don't see too much on the 15. So trend line. So that's another target for price. But obviously with trend lines and liquidities, obviously we've got this one, we've got this one. So these could be, I would imagine when price if price does reach down past all these, we might actually see these might trigger a bit of a pullback anyway. So we could see that a pullback. Let's see a sweep of that one, just pullback, and then a sweep of them ones and a bit of a pullback. Um, but obviously these liquidity areas of liquidity, so these trend lines, these three here, might be what drags price down for it to be a nice sell off. I'll just play it because I can't remember. I don't remember how far it's gone or not. But yeah, it's market closed pretty much bang on that trend line. Pretty much bang on. So I imagine this will obviously I don't know if it'll open or close, market open below or above, but I imagine because we've now got four touches, if it opens high, if there's a market gap, I imagine at some point Monday it will smash through this, maybe head for this one. Or still, we might even just come and mitigate something in this wick. But like I said, the first area for targets, if we was only looking for a short term sell, would be to take this trend line anyway, because this is a first one. Obviously, I mean that's 1 to 15 roughly, and chances are if I was looking for it, I'd have got a tighter entry anyway. Um, but yeah, be looking for price to just take out this because this is the first trend line and it's a bit cleaner than these others as well, to be fair. But we've possibly got a bit of build of liquidity here and then a sweep, and then so it might actually be to mitigate something in this, which structure wise might make sense because we've got something. So we've possibly got this structure forming. So we could come and mitigate something in here and then create and make a new high still. But obviously this is what's drawn price down for now. So can't tell you if I'd have held this longer term or not. Yeah, I think we are a bit bullish overall. So 4 hour structure we are possibly looking at. Doesn't take the high, just about. Yeah, so that's our most. This is our working range at the minute. So this is the high and this is the overall low on this blue structure. So we could obviously even this leg here, you see it's making smaller highs and lows. So this could well be heading for a new higher high. Um, so yeah, long term holds wouldn't have really been what I was looking for because like I say, it might just come somewhere in here, mitigate, and then it's still working its way up, sort of thing. So but obviously it presented a nice opportunity, and obviously 1 to 15s and nothing to be sniffed at. So obviously possibly more when it actually takes the trend line. Is there any questions, guys? No.
No, all good, mate.
Yeah. Well, I might call it there then, guys, if there's no questions, because just rambling for the sake of it, I think, at the minute.
Is there a tutorial you'd recommend for TradingView? Like I see you do all your template, like all your templates and stuff like that.
What? So, do you mean like when I draw a box and I can click on this button, this here, and do
Yeah,
this? So, all you have to do, mate, is I mean, it's really simple. So, draw a box, and then if you go into settings, this one here,
yep,
you can add writing. Uh, so if I write, I'll just write Steve. Uh, you can pick your color. So you might want green, let's say. Uh, Style. Obviously, you can change all the settings in it, and text. So, and then obviously you can, obviously it says Steve in the middle of the box. You can click bottom, so it'll come underneath the box. Obviously top, inside, and let's say left. Left will bring it to the start of the box or whatever, and then you just go on template, save as. Then obviously if you want it to, okay. So obviously I could delete that. I can then draw a box, any box. Let's say I'll change it blue. So because obviously I color coordinate all my boxes, so I know where I'm at with trades. So obviously that, if I draw another box now, it'll be blue. But then I can, if I want to change it to Steve again, it automatically changes it red and puts the writing on it. Or if you don't want to have writing, obviously. But so my obviously my imbalances, I can click imbalance, it turns it yellow. I can, as a lower time frame point of interest, it's blue. Higher time frame would be red for me. BPR is purple, and 50 minute is orange. So my 15-minute stuff is orange boxes. So it's just a case of, mate, is obviously when you figure out what you want to be marking up, then you can color coordinate it to suit what you want, mate. And then obviously, like I say you can just save as, and then when you draw anything, it's that color. But you can do it with like lines and things as well. So I've got, obviously I have my 1 minute's green. So if I want a 1 minute break of structure, it turns it green. So if I want an entry, obviously generally a 1 minute entry is green. Um, but if I want a 15-minute box and a 15-minute break of structure, it just automatically changes it because it's just a preset that you can save yourself. So just automatically changes the color, mate. So you're not, if you've got different time frame stuff marked, just by taking a bit of time to organize it how you want. So you're not, because I think I sort of started doing that because I was, obviously these red, orange, and green boxes here. So this is a system that I created like 2 years ago nearly. Fantastic way to trade. It's just I don't have the time to mark up that way in my current life situation, but I will get back to this. But I was coming back to charts and not in the beginning. I didn't know because all these, the red is what I'd class as higher time frame, orange is 15, green is 1. Before I color coordinated it, I was coming on a chart and I didn't know if I was on the 4 hour phase or the 15-minute phase. So I color coordinated it to,
yeah,
so
because
I
that's what.
could open the chart and go, I am at this stage with this chart. So and obviously I specifically picked these colors as well because we all obviously we're all adults and we all, well, the large majority of us drive, and we know that red is stop, orange is get ready, green is go. So green is like put the order on basically, So a little bit of a psychology sort of hack, I guess, behind it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's where I'm at because yeah, I'm typing everything in
yeah, just
to
spend a bit of
say
time, mate, and like I say, just get your stuff set. So obviously, if you're, I mean, if you're looking to trade similar to me, obviously I've got my entry box, and then I've got me obviously lower time frame point of interest. I've now got a Steve box, imbalances. Also, if you want to mark imbalances, um, I've just left me trend lines and that as and liquidity areas as blue. Uh, yeah, it was just obviously I think I spent an hour just figuring out what I wanted to be and what color I wanted it to be to help me just identify where I was. But these orange and red ones are from old trades now, so a lot of my newer stuff's not orange and red. It's just blue for an area and then green for an entry. And obviously, I'm looking for a 1 minute change of character breaker structure. So you'll see green lines possibly, and yellow lines will be imbalance. Um, so there's a dotted line here. It's got an alert on it. I'll delete it. So there's a yellow line here. So on my charts, I mark the imbalances at the pointers where it would be filled. So this is just short of the yellow line. So if price come up and literally touched this yellow line and then started doing a 1 minute breaker structure or 15 or whatever, then I'd look to sell from there because obviously it's filled something important to the left, and then obviously it started breaking to the downside. So I mark the imbalances at the point where they're filled because other people will other people like to sell from say 50% of the imbalance or fair value gap or whatever you want to call it, but 50% for me is, I mean, it's not accurate enough. If it fills half and then retraces or whatever, and then when it comes back to mitigate your entry, it might take the other 50% of the imbalance. Whereas I've decided for me it's best if it takes all of the imbalance. Then when it comes back to tap my entry, I know it's not going to come back and possibly want to fill the imbalance. It's either it's either going to hit my entry and go the way I want it to, or it's just going for something completely different that's beyond my entry. So I'm an imbalance fill kind of guy, and because of that is why you can often see some ridiculously tight entries. Because I mean, I'll show you on here. I'll never try and tempt anybody into like looking at the seconds charts, but if we look across here, we can see there's obviously a tiny bit of imbalance left in here. Tiny bit of imbalance left in here. Uh, so imbalance in there. Obviously, it looks slightly different on the an even lower time frame, which is what I would have marked it on. Obviously, as you can see here, price comes and pretty much fills it to the dot. So this yellow box here fills it pipette or two beyond, which is why I always say my entry is at the point that imbalance is filled. So because it's wanted to fill this, and obviously if I'd have just marked off say the 1 minute, that would have been my entry there, just past the green box, which would have been the order block or zone or whatever there. And then obviously once it's filled the imbalance, it's either got to decide whether it's going to go target something above or below. So we're not on this occasion, like I say, if it had filled this, I wasn't because there was no more imbalance below it to fill. I wasn't expecting it to maybe come low for something. Obviously, me analysis would have been it wanted to go higher, which it did, but I didn't leave any imbalance just below this for it that it might target, sort of thing is what I'm trying to say. So by waiting for imbalance to be fully taken, we are taking we're exposing ourselves less to more losses because obviously there's no imbalance down here. It's not come down for it because it's took the last of it here in this leg specifically that it bought up from. If that makes sense.
Yeah, sounds like it's winning.
Yeah, I mean it's obviously I'm anticipating it coming up here. I didn't take this. It happened at a stupid time, but it was late on a. It was really close to spread hour, so I didn't take it, and I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have been enough up in time for it to have got through spread hour. So I always say if I'm 30 pips up at no 20 pips up at spread hour, I should be about safe because me spreads obviously I use self funded, so the spreads are out wild, but they can spike up to like 16 pips. So
Yeah, I saw one the other day. It was 40.
yeah, it depends
Yeah,
on the
but that was in the
account.
news.
Yeah, so obviously entry taps here 8ish, just about 8. So from 8 till so spread hours this green candle here. So it would have been only like a pip and a half in profit when spread hour hit. So it was if I'd have been in it, I would have lost because of the spread hour, even though obviously I've marked it up because it's a valid trade and I mean, as far as the setup goes, it's a beautiful setup. It just happened at the wrong time for the entry to tag in, but like I say, I'm expecting it to possibly come up here because obviously we went over it earlier. Trend line, this order block caused that to be swept. So I'm hoping for this, obviously, but I mean it's heading that way, you know. But I mean, obviously, I'm not in it, so it don't really matter. But we might even get a second entry, possibly, to get it up. We could even see a sweep down into something in here and then take it up. Or it might do that first and then target the trend line here. Might do this first and then take that out. Um, but yeah, obviously trend lines are just an area where I'm anticipating that price will pass. So if there's trend lines after an entry, I'm expecting that price would carry it past that. If I can get a sell from here, my first sort of take profit would likely be this trend line. I would look for more to see if I would want it to continue lower or not. But yeah, that's about it, mate. If there's not anything else, I'll call it there, buddy. It's just the two of us now, anyway.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Yeah, all right, mate. If there's any questions, all right, mate. Anything pops to mind, just give us a shout, and I'll do my best.
No, good on you, mate. Have a good one.
Cheers, mate. Bye bye.
Bye.